All right, cool. Sorry for the late start, everybody. We had a little technical difficulties, which it happens to me all the damn time, but I'm getting the hang of it. So, joining me again today, returning for a second time on this channel, is my good friend Garrett. I appreciate you coming again, man. I really appreciate you being here.
Hey, man, I appreciate you having me back. Yeah, it was a blast last time. I've been looking forward to doing it again.
Me too, man. No doubt. The last one, I was just just so blown away. And I appreciate, your willingness to come back and see me. I wanted to really get into, first of all, if any of you out there have not Anthology of Sorcery, Volume 3, Book of Spells from Become a Living God, you've got to do it. It is incredible. It's just full of good rituals and spell work that are extremely powerful and potent. And when I read JS's essay in there, and then his the ritual itself, I was just literally floored. I got so fucking excited that I couldn't even sleep. It's something that I want to do as soon as possible. There's a little bit involved with it, so it's not something that I have all of the necessary implements on hand, but it is really, to me, the most powerful fucking ritual that I have ever come across. It is seriously mind-blowing. And not only that, I think that one of the things too is his outlook on or his theory on why there's been so much bloodshed in regards to Christianity and Islam faith. So with what he said in there about that, I think it really makes a lot of sense to me, and I opened my eyes. I think that he's right on with it too, and I'll let him explain and share what he wants to share of this. I know he can't share all of it, of course, and if you get a copy of the Anthology of Sorcery Volume 3, Book of Spells, you would definitely have access to all of it. But so what can you share with us regarding that?
Wow. Well, first of all, thank you, man. That's I haven't gotten any feedback from anyone on this yet. So yeah, that's the best compliment I could receive. Yeah, I really appreciate that. Well, this ritual has to do with the science of evoking living people by taking their spirit out of their body and summoning it into the ritual circle or into the triangle. Now, the way that I came up with this, it was actually channeled to me by a spirit that is known as Shimyaza. Okay. And that's a spirit that I work very closely with. It's kind of one that's always been there for me, and that's really who guides me through the path workings that I'm doing. That was his specialty. Is he taught sorcery, he taught root cuttings, and he especially taught deification. So anyway, it kind of hit me like a ton of bricks out of the blue, man. My wife at the time, she was going through some stuff, and she didn't really have a lot of energy. She would wake up late and go shopping for a few hours or something like that, and just be completely exhausted every day. Her energy levels just were not where they should have been. Mm-hmm. So I'd really been, meditating, asking out loud, what is something I can do to fix this problem? There's a lot of different things that you can do to get more energy, such as, vampirism and whatnot. But this was something that just kind of came to me out of thin air. I got the usual, tingling that goes through the top of my head. And then I was shown a series of visual images, like they were just seared into my brain. And I saw myself performing this ritual, and then the spirit actually spoke to me internally in this occasion and explained it to me. I'm like, well, fuck, man, that's crazy. I've never heard of anything like that. And it sounds like it would work, you know, scientifically. So
Fuck yeah, man. Totally.
When it comes to blood sacrifice, it's first of all, there's a terrible stigma around blood sacrifice. It's extremely taboo. Even a lot of Satanists and black magicians will tell you, "Oh, that's not something you should ever do, or that's forbidden." You know, I definitely say fuck that shit. Okay, I don't agree with that at all. It's actually, if you think about it from a scientific standpoint, then not only does it make sense, it's easy to comprehend it, but it also alleviates the stigma about it being evil or cruel to animals or whatnot. So when it comes to sacrificing an animal in a ritual setting, that when a creature dies, it releases like an explosion, like a shockwave of life force energy, that energy leaving the body. So in a ritual setting, you can channel or harness that energy, and that energy goes into the operation that you're working on. It gives the ritual power. Okay, now when you evoke a spirit into the triangle and make that spirit or that god a blood sacrifice, they absorb that life force energy. It becomes a part of them, and it makes them stronger, and they become more and more powerful with each sacrifice, which is why I think, and I say this in the essay, that's why I think that, you know, throughout history, fanatical religions like Christianity and Islam, their gods have demanded blood sacrifices. And I think that's why. I think that whenever they kill a person in the name of their god, then it's like making a sacrifice to that entity, and it becomes stronger and stronger.
That makes so much sense, man. You know, it really does. Like, that opened my eyes big time. I mean, I was like, fuck yeah, he is right on with that. Like, it really did, man. I think you were dead on point with that, like really straight up.
Oh yeah, man. Thank you. It makes sense to me, you know, that could very well be what's going on with some of the religious killings, and why different religious groups are driven to commit mass murder in the first place. I mean, what is it that drives them to do that? And especially to do that in the name of a god or a spiritual entity. That's really the only thing that makes any sense to me. So it had occurred to me that it could be possible to evoke the spirit of a living person out of their body and into the triangle. So if that was possible, then it only made sense that you could do that and then make a blood sacrifice to that person, and that their spirit would be able to absorb that life force energy and then carry it back to their body, making them stronger and physically more powerful in the flesh.
Oh man!
And,
fuck yeah! Fuck
yeah.
yeah.
So
I can see it right now, man. Ah, shit.
So that's what came through, and that's what I saw myself doing. It made complete sense to me. So the next step was to put that theory to the test and try it on a living person. So my wife was the obvious choice. She volunteered for it. And, you know, we lived together, so I'd be able to monitor her very closely to obtain true and accurate results. And I would also be there if there were any mishaps. If anything went wrong, I would be there to remedy that. Because with any first-time experiment, you never know what the fuck to really expect. I mean, anything can happen. So I was taking extreme precaution in doing this. So I gathered everything that I needed for this ritual, and I instructed her to just go lay down and watch some TV, you know, just chill out and relax, and let me do my thing. So I wanted to do this at a distance. You know, I didn't want to do this in the front yard, you know, with her right here. I wanted to get about, I drove about 15 miles away. I went to a mountaintop and laid out a circle with a triangle in the middle of it, and built a fire in the middle of that triangle, and proceeded to evoke the spirit of my wife, to try and call that spirit out of her body and bring it forth into the triangle. And that was successful. And I could actually at times, and I have photographs of this, I have pictures I can send you, dude.
Oh, fuck yeah, man.
There's one point where you can actually see a woman's face in the flames, and it looks just like my wife. It tripped me out so bad. And another thing that happened is, as I began to evoke her and she started to materialize, it was emitting a blue light from the flame. And
wow.
I videoed this, so I'll send you the video. I mean, it's not really high quality enough to be on YouTube. You know, it's you know, filmed in the middle of the night with a cheap ass camera. It was just for, you know, to document it. You know, so I could go back and watch and see what happened. But so anyway, the evocation was successful. So once I had her spirit materialized within the triangle, I sacrificed a chicken to her, just a regular farm chicken that I bought at the sale barn auction, and I spilled the blood into the flames while at the same time instructing her to absorb that energy from that sacrifice. And then I gave her a few minutes to do that, to absorb the energy, and then I dismissed her. I instructed her to go back to her body and to carry this newfound strength and youth with her to the flesh. And that was it. I mean, it was actually pretty straightforward and simple. The hardest part about this is setting up the area to perform the ritual. You know, you got to dig a fire pit, you got to lay out the circle. I used cornmeal. That's something that seems to work pretty good. And so anyway, yeah, I do this ritual, and then I go home and I find her, and she's comatose, dude. She's like in a deep sleep. She normally wakes up, you know, to a pin drop.
Right.
So I go up and I'm like tapping her on the shoulder, and she's non-responsive. So I'm like, oh fuck, man. So I'm like checking her pulse and stuff, and all her vitals seem to be normal. She was just out cold, man. She was sleeping really hard. So I didn't bother. I let her sleep through to the next morning. And the next morning she woke up, and she was feeling high. She was feeling floaty and euphoric, like literally stuck around the house, like, oh my God, what the fuck is going on? Freaking out a little bit. And it was such a massive amount of energy to try and absorb that it terrified her at first. And you know, I was, you know, of course, standing there saying, just be cool, honey. Just you know, have a cup of coffee, sit down for a minute, and give yourself a chance to ground. So after about an hour, she grounded. You know, she evened out, and the disorientation and stuff went away. And then it was like she was on speed, man. She was pinging off the fucking walls, and it lasted. She was pinging off the walls for 2 months, man.
Yeah, damn, dude. Fuck.
Like, yeah, the problems with her energy levels were totally solved. I mean, she would sleep for a couple of hours at night and then wake up ready to go again, man. I mean, I couldn't keep up with her.
Oh my God, man. Like, fuck, dude. I really want to like stop this broadcast right now and fucking go do that shit, you know, or you know, I guess I can't really call my own spirit out of my body while I'm performing this ritual. That would be cool as shit if I could. I guess I could. I guess that would be possible, actually.
Yeah, I mean, see, most people fall asleep as I evoke their spirit. I've done this for several people now, and it's been successful each time. And each time the recipient is passed out cold. There's only been one person that was able to remain awake for this and have any recollection of the experience whatsoever, and that was E.A. Coetting. For the promotion of the anthology, I did this ritual for him and videoed it. You guys, some of y'all might have seen the video on YouTube. And he was actually driving down the road when I performed this ritual for him.
Oh.
We had planned it. I told him, when I was going to do it, what day and everything. And I just told him, to sit down and relax and just kind of, let it happen. Well, I guess he got an emergency phone call and had to leave the house in the middle of the night. And so he was actually driving as I performed this rite. And, he sent out a newsletter. Some of you probably read it, where he was describing that experience. But he said it was like a flash of lightning in his eyes that went off, and he had to pull over. And he said he physically left his body without trying to, and could remember being in the triangle within the flames for just a few moments. And yeah, he we talked afterwards, and he was very satisfied with the results from this ritual. So I think others will be too. I think people are going to have a great reaction to this. I'm excited about it.
Dude, no doubt. Like, I mean, really, I have not. I mean, I don't have words for it. I mean, seriously, I'm like so in awe of this operation and the potential that it has for so many other things. And it kind of seems like that's what I do in my healing work when I'm doing like distance healing. Most of the time, the whoever I'm working on, they'll be out cold in 5 to 10 minutes. And it does make sense to me that that's kind of what's happening, is that they're actually leaving their body. And I am as well. And I think that's kind of where maybe we meet on the astral plane, and that's where I do the work. And I've had people that I was not able to rouse too, because I do them via Skype, and I was screaming into the fucking microphone for them to wake up, and they were out, man. And so I definitely think that that I from that standpoint, I guess it would be possible to do it on your own. I know trying to sacrifice a chicken could be a little difficult if you're already kind of in that state. If you have evoked your spirit into the triangle, and then you have to go about butchering the chicken. Before I ask you how you did that, I wanted to say what's up, Curtis Joseph. What's up, James Hazowick? I don't know how to say your last name. I'm sorry if I fucked it up, but it's good to have you guys here, man. Thank you so much for joining us. But so what is your method for butchering the chicken, for sacrificing the chicken? How did you go about that?
Well, I used a chopping block, which is just a 4x4 piece of wooden post, and I have a ritual sword. It's actually right here. It's really badass. I'll show it to you guys. This is a katana machete made by cold steel.
That's awesome.
And, yeah, these things are indestructible, man. I mean, there's videos online where they're trying to tear them up, and they can withstand just about anything. So yeah, this is what I use in a lot of my rituals. I simply, of course, I treat the sacrifice with the utmost respect and the highest respect, and I also spend time with the sacrifice beforehand to form a bond between the animal and the sorcerer, because once you do that, killing it's not so easy, which hence the word sacrifice. That's exactly what it means. It's not supposed to be easy.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, as far as the actual killing of the chicken, I'm right-handed, so I hold the chicken by the feet with my left hand. And I just gently lay him down on the chopping block and chop the head off.
So there's no resistance really at all. It's pretty,
No, it's a lot easier than you think, man. Now, after the head comes off, the chicken will be flapping and going nuts. So I generally put the sword down and hold on to it pretty tight so it doesn't sling the blood all over the place. I want to make sure the blood goes into the flames. And yeah, it's really not that hard, man. I mean, I guess for a lot of people that have never done something like that, that would probably be the most difficult part, other than building a fire. Be surprised how many magicians can't build a campfire. That's why.
Man, I can definitely do that shit.
Yeah. So yeah, once the animal stops flailing and the last of the blood is spilled into the flames, I also place the body of the chicken into the flames as well. Now that's for a reason. It's a sacrifice of burning flesh and blood. Okay. Most of the time when sacrificing an animal, the animal should be consumed after the fact by the magician in most cases. But in this case, that's part of the energy, that's part of the sacrifice to be absorbed by the recipient, is that burning flesh. So you can rest assured that none of that is going to waste.
Yeah. I mean, it's I know, like you said, I mean, it would be awesome to be able to post the full like ritual online, but I'm sure you would have PETA and other organizations, after you.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, the video I did of EA's unification, we had to censor the sacrifice part out, and I'm sure it was for that reason,
Yeah, no doubt. I know they get crazy over any of that stuff, and really, you probably treated it in a more humane way than it would have had otherwise. Going to, packing plant or something where it was going to be butchered and processed for, various parts and whatnot. But because they treat them pretty terrible. So
yeah, they're not humane about that shit at all. They treat the animals that you buy in the grocery store. They treat them terribly. That's another theory too, is that animal that's been abused throughout its life and then killed in an inhumane, barbaric way, when you eat and consume that flesh, you're taking those negative emotions from that animal into yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I've thought, yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, and people that have a problem with blood sacrifice, they're really folks that have watched too much television, in my opinion. I mean, why would you deny the spirit, this ancient being that you're summoning to ask you for a favor? Why would you deny them a meal that you would offer to a guest in your home? It's I don't see anything wrong with it at all. And I'm not really even concerned with justifying the morality of this practice. I'll leave that up to the philosophers, man. That's not what I am. I'm only concerned with getting the desired result with what works.
Yep. I mean, that's what you have to do. I mean, it's, I talk to so many people that, are just so concerned over the morality of whatever kind of operation that they're performing. And it really kind of is such a huge hindrance to them, because they can't really get over, whatever that aspect is. They just have a really hard time with living with it after they've, performed the operation, or it keeps them from moving forward. And I think that's why it's like we have to always remember that, our magic is first and foremost for us, for ourselves. It's
Right.
It can be a selfish thing, but as sovereign individuals, it's our life, and we can do what we want to do with it, and it's, and everybody else has that right too. And
yeah, well, first of all, right and wrong is a matter of opinion and perception. I think I actually say that in my article. And the only one that matters is your own when it comes to these types of things. And another thing, I think I put this in the essay as well, that I think that these stigmas were put into place intentionally to keep those of us who would access this power from being afraid to try to do so in the first place. If I've learned anything throughout my practice, is that the more something has been demonized, the more valuable it actually is.
Right on, dude. Right on. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, I can't wait to try it. I mean, I kind of was under, I really didn't think that I would ever really sacrifice anything, but yet I wanted to give it a shot and be a part of it, maybe with in a group setting or something. But It's not something that I've really spent a lot of time on, and this is one of those topics that it's just like, once my eyes were open to it and the result that it can actually produce, and what is actually happening, the mechanics of it, it's just it makes so much sense. I mean, and in the Bible, I mean, if that's anything that anybody believes in or not, I mean, there's so much sacrifice of sheep and lambs and goats or whatever. They were doing it all the damn time. I mean, like, their God was demanding that he do that. And there was a reason for it, obviously, but it just kind of overlook what that is actually doing. I mean, it's not really explained.
Oh,
I think, like, well, that's all they had to offer back then. Now we have like money and food or whatnot, stuff, and that's just something that we don't need to do. That the money is equivalent to the life of that goat or whatnot. But
no, that's because the church really digs money, bro.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, this takes me back to, you mentioned, the Bible and sacrifices and whatnot. The story of Cain and Abel, the whole reason that came about, Cain killing his brother Abel, is because they both went up to the mountaintop to make sacrifices to God. Cain was a farmer, so he sacrificed fruits and vegetables. Cain had livestock, so he sacrificed burning flesh and blood of his animals that he raised. Well, the God that they were praying to turned his nose up to the vegetables and preferred the burning flesh and blood. So yeah, that's so Cain, he said, all right, you want blood? Here's my brothers.
Damn. And imagine what he could have gotten out of that had he performed the ritual that you have laid out here, and been able to evoke his own spirit and to put another entire human being's energy into you. I mean, I don't even know if you could handle it, or it wouldn't.
Well,
like a fucking superhuman, like to the nth degree.
Well, I say in the essay, and I touched on this very briefly, because no matter what you put out there, I mean, there's going to be someone who's crazy enough to do it. Okay, so I'm not advocating or encouraging anyone to sacrifice a human being, but I did say in there that just to imagine the possibilities of sacrificing larger, more complex life forms, which the human neocortex is the most complex life form that we know of. And I don't think that this is anything new, bro. I think that the power elites that are ruling the world, I think they're already doing this, but using human beings.
That's what Hitler was doing, I guess that he knew all about what was up, and that's why he was, killing these people in mass numbers to try and harness that power. I mean, it makes sense now, totally.
Yeah. So theoretically, if you were to perform the rite of deification for another person and use a person as a sacrifice, then I can only imagine what would be gained from that.
Oh my God!
I don't advocate human sacrifice or encourage anyone to do it. This is just for the sake of, intellectual conversation here.
Sure.
But that's something that has also been done, I think, throughout history. One example I can give is Genghis Khan. At Genghis Khan's funeral, they sacrificed, and I'm pretty sure I'm remembering this accurately, the numbers. I think it was 40 female virgins and 200 horses that they sacrificed at Genghis Khan's funeral.
God damn.
And not only that, but after the funeral, they also murdered everyone who attended the funeral to keep their place a secret. So why would the great Khan want to have humans sacrificed at his funeral after his death. Okay, I think a lot of folks believe that that those people would go on to serve him in the next life. I don't think that's the case. I think that he was being deified by those sacrifices even after he was dead. I think I think he literally became a god through that.
So he could be a powerful entity to work with, then it would seem like.
Absolutely. That's not something I'll get into on this podcast because it still works, but that's something I am working on. I think that not only was he the greatest conqueror of our modern time, but he was also one of the, if not the greatest magician that we know of in our modern times.
Oh.
I mean, this guy would summon tornadoes to wipe out opposing forces on the battlefield. He would ride off to face a larger army with, greater numbers than what he had. And right before they would get there, a fucking tornado would come and wipe out half the enemy's army, and they would just ride in behind the storm and clean up the mess. I mean, that happened multiple times. It's documented that happened multiple times. So either either aliens were helping him by controlling the weather, or he was a badass fucking black magician that could do these things. So
I can tell you what, on this end, blood is going to fucking be spilled. You better believe that. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I mean, this is this started as an experiment, just to see what would happen, just to see if I could help my wife out with the issue she's dealing with, and we got such a profound result from it that I wanted to put it out there for the rest of us, man. This is a service that I'm going to offer people through my website once I launch it, which should be coming out here pretty soon. I'm about halfway done building it. But there's also other benefits to this. One, it's an excellent way for us to hone in our skills at evocation, okay? Because we're experimenting on living human subjects and getting feedback from living human subjects. So there's no question as to whether or not the fucking ritual worked. I mean, the results are instant. It either worked or it didn't. And the only thing that it depends on whether or not it works. It depends entirely on the evocator's ability to summon the spirit of the recipient. I give an example in the article there of how I do this, how I evoke people. It's really no different than how you would evoke any other spirit. So each one is going to be custom tailored to the recipient and slightly different in that sense. I'm sure that most magicians who will attempt to perform this ritual already have developed their own unique style of evocation, but that example's in there for those who have not. I wanted this to be something that anybody could pick up and go perform this ritual and get results from it. And I think they will. If they perform the rite, I think they'll be fucking amazed at what happens.
It's like what I told you when we were talking before, man. I was like, dude. And I hadn't even read this yet, because just so busy, I hadn't had a chance to really go through yet. But I told you, man, I was like, dude, in a year, you're going to be fucking, like you're going to be doing, whatever your career is now. I mean, you're going to be very, very busy with your healing, your magic. I mean, there's no doubt. And this, to me, this confirms that, the intuitive hit that I had with that, like there's no doubt about it, dude. You're going to be just freaking killing it. No pun intended.
Well, yeah, that'd be cool. I'm not, I have a career, practicing magic is not what I do for a living. I have a totally different career that pays me plenty of money. I'm very happy at doing that. But this is my passion, man. This is my hobby. And if I could make a living practicing magic, then I guess it would be just having fun all the time, man, because that's what I enjoy doing. So that could be cool.
You're going to. I'm telling you that. You are definitely going to. Like there's no doubt. And that's my intentions for my I own a fire and water damage restoration company for like the last 5 years. And, while it's great, it's not, my heart's not in it anymore at all. And, my heart is fully invested in my spirituality, and I want to help other people as much as I can, and learning at the same time, having fun at the same time, enriching people's lives. It's just it's kind of in a way it is self-gratification. It is a selfish thing, but in the wanting to help people and the helping people, to how it would make me feel so good, and so it is selfish, but if you want to look at it like that, but it's just like, I mean, I don't have to tell you, I mean, the passion is such a driving force within me, and I just love everything about this, that why wouldn't I want to do it full time, as my career. I mean, it was just, I'd wake up every day so excited for what that day is going to bring. Not fuck, man, like, I mean, not that every day is like that, but I think really then you would have a true lifestyle, that would, and that's what I think everybody wants. Everybody strives for, to have that lifestyle that's not too lazy to push the envelope and go after the bigger positions and bigger titles and whatever. But I think that you're definitely going to be doing that, man. Like, there's no doubt at all.
Yeah, well, I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to put up my website. I'm going to put my material out there. I've got a book I'm working on. I'll probably be, looking at getting that published next year. And we'll just see what happens. I'm not putting any pressure on it. This is not something I have to do for a living. It's something that I want to do. And if I end up making a living at it in the process, then so be it. Either way, I'm going to be doing the same fucking thing, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, in a lot of ways, Bilal's already made that decision for you, yeah. And that's just something that's going to manifest. And, that is just so exciting. It really is. I mean, that's just living proof right there. I mean, I can already see it, and it's, it excites me to the nth degree. I mean, it really does. And, it's just, the synchronicity of all of this in my life anyways. I met you and saw what that spirit had done for you in your life. I had just began a relationship with him, like maybe 2 weeks before that or something. And because he was always he was like one of the main spirits that I was just, I don't know what it was. I mean, I guess I was scared, in a lot of ways, for whatever reason. I just really, I guess I wasn't ready yet to work with him and to kind of tap into his own specific current. But once I did, I mean, I can really feel it, and see some of the results that are already taking place in my life. And it's one of those things where it's like, fuck, man, I should have done this fucking 3 years ago or something, or 5 years ago. Why the fuck did I wait so long, But I think it's just reach out to you. That's what gives you the urge to want to go and do the evocation and bring them forth and summon them forth. And, it's like, it's always kind of been with me throughout my experience in magic. It's like from one spirit to the next, it was been like, stepping stones, so I think this one spirit work with, and then that would lead me to this next one. And then that one would lead me to this next one. And it was like a gradual growth process from that. And it just, looking back on it, it just makes me excited for, what I have in store coming down my path of who I'm going to be working with next. And, I know there's really never going to be an ultimate ending point to it, but, would definitely be gaining more power and gaining more strength and spiritually. and physically, I'm sure too. You know, with each step that I take, with each new entity that I work with.
Absolutely, yeah. That's you know, through doing, you know, these evocations, or, you know, invocations, experiencing possession. You know, that's part of the idea. You know, is that you can take on the strength and the power of that spirit that you're working with, and it'll change you, not just psychologically and spiritually, but it'll change you physically too, and you will see increased strength. That's a big thing that people experience from this rite of deification. You know, not just having more energy, but being physically stronger. I can go into a little bit of detail about, you know, what my wife experienced from having this done.
Please do, yeah, please do, and touch on the sex drive aspect as well, if you would.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, that's one of the better perks of this. The recipient's sex drive will go through the fucking roof.
Oh shit!
Yeah, it's very much an aphrodisiac in that sense. On top of that, she actually looked about 5 years younger after I did this rite for her. Like, I could see the energy radiating off of her. You know, people around us, our friends and family, after that, they would come to me and be like, "Man, what's up with your wife, bro?" I'm like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? It's like she's glowing almost. Like, she's just so, like, they couldn't even think of the word. They're doing their hand like this, trying to describe it.
She's a dime piece.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it'll also make your hair and fingernails grow in thicker. She'll probably kick my ass for telling you guys this, but right here where her bangs are, before this ritual, that had started to thin out and fall out. You know, the hair right here on the front of her temple, or forehead, you know, where her bangs are. And after doing that, that hair grew back in, longer and thicker than it's ever been before. So that's, you know, if you're balding or something like that, then this might be something that can help you out as well.
Magic becoming science, you know.
Exactly. This you get physical benefits from this, and you know, and then the increased energy is amazing too. I mean, it's really like a drug, man. It's like being on the perfect fucking drug. There's no
wait, dude. I can't fucking wait.
You know, with vampirism, that's one of the drawbacks to vampirism is the come down. You know, you can drink human blood or feed off, you know, someone's blood essence, or drain them, as it's put, and you'll be feeling good and strong for about 3 days, but then you're going to crash and feel shittier than you ever did. So that's something that is not a factor with this deification, right? The effects are long lasting, and there's no harsh come down from it. So
that's perfect, man. I mean, and what are your thoughts on maybe doing 2 chickens, you know, 3 chickens, you know, something like that? I mean, do you think that, I'm sure it would make a huge difference, but do you think that it's one of those things maybe where if you are doing it for a client or a family member, that you would only want to start off with 1 chicken and then see how they handle that, and then the next ritual you can go to 2, you know, like a program?
Yeah, that's a really good question, actually. I had the same question. So the last couple of times I've done this right for someone, I've actually taken out 20 cc's of my own blood and offered that into the fire as well, along with the sacrifice, you know, with the chicken, and the results were amplified from that. So
how did you go about obtaining the blood? Like, they said that the blood.
Let's see. I got my setup here. Here we go. Okay. These, you can buy these offline. It is just a line here that hooks onto a syringe. I bought a sterile syringe from the feed store in town, and that's 20 milliliters. I think I said cc's earlier. It's actually milliliters. And then you've got this line with a little butterfly needle on the end of it.
Oh, fuck.
You just twist that onto the end of the syringe and then pop that needle into a vein. That's usually the best place to hit it, either that or in your hands, wherever, you know, everybody's different, you know, wherever you got the fattest fucking vein, that's where you want to stick it. So
yeah, but it ain't going there, that's for sure.
yeah, it's super easy to do. The worst thing you got to worry about is blowing the vein. If you've I've been to EMT school and combat lifesaver school, so I'm used to putting in IVs and stuff like that. It's not a difficult challenge for me to take blood out, but if you've never done it before, just be careful. Yeah, you can.
I can do it, man.
And that's painful.
I can do it, man. I hate needles so much. Like I know that, but you know, I guess if I was ever going to do that, I mean, I've donated blood many times, and they call me off the hook all the time because I have whatever kind of universal blood type or whatever it is that can work with anyone apparently.
Oh, negative?
I guess that's what it is. So that, I mean, they call me all the time and try to put the guilt trips on me and shit like that. They need it for the pediatrics ward or whatever, you know. And it's like, I mean, I do it when I can, you know, but I guess that's one thing I'm going to propose to them is, you know, when I donate, I want to have something to take with me, you know. I mean, I don't know if there's something a law against that or whatever, but they want.
Yeah, they're probably not going to let you take any with you.
Fucking blood back if you want it, motherfucker.
Yeah, you never know. I highly doubt it though. They want that shit, man. They're calling you.
Yeah.
It's you know, I usually get my wife or someone to help me, you know, to pull on the syringe while I hold the needle in place. It takes a little while. You know, those are tiny little needles, and it takes a little while for that syringe to fill up with blood. But yeah, 20 milliliters, that's like the perfect amount. And I'm never feeling like too weak from that to perform the rituals. So that's sufficient enough for me.
Yeah. I mean, shit, when I donate blood, I think they get like, you know, 2 bags like that big, you know, something like that. I mean, it's a good amount.
Yeah.
You know, wouldn't it be crazy if that blood is not actually going to hospitals and things like that? You know, if it's going to some kind of government agency that's using it for blood sacrifice or something, you know, who the fuck knows?
There's no telling, man. I don't put anything past them.
Yeah, no shit, man. No shit. I mean, like, yeah, it's just like so many endless possibilities, you know. And I know that you don't want to get into it too much in depth, but there's so many other things that you can use this type of ritual for, you know, not just to empower. There's, you know, I'm sure there's ways that you can incorporate that into baneful magic and whatever else you want to do. I mean, probably any damn thing you want to do.
Yeah, I don't give any examples of how to weaponize this in the essay, but I do remark that it's highly weaponizable. This method of evoking people, you can use it for all kinds of shit, man. If something can be used to help or heal someone, it can also be used to harm or kill someone. Now, a creative black magician could get really creative with the person's spirit after evoking it out of their body and into the triangle. Yeah, not to, you know, I'm actually writing a piece on this as well, giving some examples. But that's also really scary, man. That's
oh, it is totally, man.
I can't, you know, that's something that would be extremely hard to defend yourself against because you're vulnerable when you're out of body, dude. You're you know, if you do this to someone while they're asleep, then they're extremely vulnerable and susceptible to it. Okay, really the only thing I can think of that would give someone sufficient protection against having something like this used against them is spiritual protection. You know, having literal, you know, spirits that would go to battle on your behalf if someone tried to do this to harm you.
Right, like servitors and things of that nature.
Absolutely. So that's precautions that I've taken, and I would encourage others to take as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could use this method of evoking people for all kinds of shit. I mean, you could constrain and trap their spirit outside their body, and then what? Then they're stumbling around the rest of their life without their soul in their body. They're really just, yeah.
An empty shell at that point.
Yeah, yeah, it could be devastating.
People coming after you legally or whatever, like if you have like some type of court case, and you're trying to defend yourself and they're coming after you big time, then that would be a great way to kind of stop them in their tracks.
Yeah. Or instead of offering a sacrifice to the spirit once they're in the flames, you could offer something else that would have a baneful effect, such as rattlesnake venom, or there's different concoctions you could make with vinegar, asafoetida, venom, crushed up poisonous spiders. You could make do what?
Like your excrement, like your scat, I guess you'd call it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've never tried doing that. I'm sure it could have an effect, but yeah, that's the beauty of this, man. It can get creative. It's also extremely effective when it comes to mind control. Or you could summon an entire legion of baneful spirits to surround the circle, and then order them to attack that person once you have their spirit in the circle. I mean, you could get creative with this, man.
And, it's crazy. There's been many times where I have slept in my circle, and I have a camera that stays in my temple so that I can always have it on 24/7. Catch all kinds of shit, and you can see orbs coming and going right from the circle out and going back in all the time. And I've had some pretty crazy things that have taken place doing that. And it's wild, because it's like whenever I do that, it's just kind of a it just something's leading me to do it, and I just do it. So in the cases where I've done that, it's I've always had something happen every single time, physically to me. And it's none of it's been bad. It's all been good things, luckily. But that's something I guess some of you guys could give that a try too. If you don't feel any anxiety about it, or if you don't have any reservations about it, try sleeping in your circle one night and see what happens.
I might try that.
Yeah, it's been powerful for me, that's for sure. I want to take a look here at the chat. We got a lot of people that have chimed in over here, and so let's see. Okay, let's see. Okay, all right. So Nexus 313 was talking about, that was what he was thinking about. You could turn that around and do a reverse operation, for baneful magic and things of that nature. So we went over that, but that's a great question. Okay. So Jafar says he's only dedicated blood that came by accident, but not with the syringe. Okay. Yeah, I mean, and that's usually what I do if I'm doing anything. If I don't use lancets, before I started using those for this part of my hand right here. Let me see if, I don't know, I got to pull the camera up. Okay, yeah, here we go. I usually use my hand right here. That for me is like the best place. You can actually see right now.
You got blood on your hand right now?
Yeah, that's what See?
Been getting busy today, huh?
Yeah. So, that was from something earlier today. And that's just this spot right here for me is just, it's not very painful, and you can get a good amount of blood. I mean, you just use a sharp razor and just go just like that. And, it's no big deal. So, that's traditionally, that's what I have always done. The lancets give you a teeny little drop, but I kind of always, go for bigger is better and all that kind of thing. And I want to get a good amount, I go for being able to actually drip the blood onto the sigil, not like trying to like rub it in, drop with my hand, like I think a lot of people do. And from what I gather, a lot of people kind of say, well, one drop is sufficient. That's all you need. But I've always felt that that's just not enough, and if it's not able to drip off of me onto the sigil, then it's, I'm not doing it justice. That's what needs to happen, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, you're absolutely right there, in my opinion, dude. When it comes to rites that call for blood, if it's just a matter of, having that as a fetish link, then yeah, one drop is sufficient. But more is better when it comes to stuff like that. I mean, the more blood you have, the more life force energy you have that you're putting into that working. And in the case of a sacrifice, or with this rite of deification, one drop wouldn't be enough, dude. At least not to get the full effect that I'm going for.
Right.
I want people to feel like fucking Superman after I do this right for them.
Fuck yeah.
And they do. They actually do. It's great.
I mean, so tell me about, the sexual aspect of it. I mean, is this something to where it was something that was just extremely obvious, like her libido just went through the roof?
Yes.
You lucky fucker.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm a very lucky man anyway. I married a beautiful woman. I have no idea what she saw in me, dude. She was so far out of my league, it was ridiculous. But yeah, I met her and took her home, and it was the one night stand that never ended. We just had our 10-year anniversary this month, and yeah, I'm still loving it, man.
Congratulations.
Still loving it. Marriage isn't for everybody, but I'm sure enjoying it.
That is awesome, man. I definitely am excited about this. Really, there's things in my life that I have need for as well, and that's one of them. So I'm really, really excited about the potential of this. In my life, it's just across the board. I mean, it's you just really you have hit the nail on the head, and you have tapped into something that really I feel like it's just so majorly overlooked because of the stigma and that is so taboo. And I really don't think that anybody really ever understood the how dramatic of an effect, and how what it's actually really doing. What is it doing? It's not just a symbolic thing. It's actually being absorbed.
Yeah, it's a scientific thing, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is just metaphysics, man. I don't even consider myself a magician. I don't deal in labels, man. People ask me all the time, well, what's your path, or what are you? Are you black magician, white magician, shaman? I'm like, man, I'm a mad scientist. I use whatever works for whatever reason I deem necessary. And yeah, I experiment and practice and delve into as many systems as possible to find the techniques that do work, and then incorporate it into my own system. So,
fuck yeah, dude. I mean, that's the way to do it.
Absolutely.
I wanted to say, what's up, Bonnie? Bonnie Woodruff is she's here now too. You've met her before, I think, or some communication with her on.
No, we actually haven't talked yet, but I would like to make your acquaintance, Bonnie. Checked out your Facebook page. You're very beautiful and seem very interesting. JD speaks very highly of you. So yeah, I look forward to talking in the future. Sure.
So next it says here, shit, I think our connection has gotten fucked up. Maybe it's okay now. It's like there was a huge delay. I think it's delaying still, but fuck it. If people can still hear us, then that's good. It's just, it looks like one of those really bad B movies or whatever you'd call it. Where it's not.
Yeah, I mean, Electronics and magic don't mix very well, man. So
no, especially in this place here, man, like where I'm at, usually it'd be some type of interference from the spirits. Pretty much every single live podcast that I do, that's the case.
yeah, yeah, dude. What you got going on, man, it trips me out. Those video clips you sent me,
Yeah,
and the spirits flying around the room. That's insane, man. That's awesome. That's totally awesome. That's some of the best video evidence I've seen of spirit activity being captured on film by far.
Really? Thank you, man.
You're doing something right for sure, bro.
So what's crazy about that is that like I've posted some on Instagram and stuff, and people have been like, "Oh, that's dust, this and that. You need to clean your house or something. That's just dust." And it's like, okay. What's really fucking nuts is like, okay, the past few nights I haven't been staying at this house. I've been staying somewhere else. Fucking one goddamn thing really shows up on the camera. Like it doesn't trigger any of the motions. Like nothing happens unless I'm here. If I'm here, it's off the chain. If I'm gone, so they're basically spirits that are just with me all the fucking time, And
yeah,
so
it's you, bro. It's not the house, it's you.
Yeah, it's me. Yeah, for sure. But no negative stuff really here lately. Everything is kind of chilled out on that, and who knows what's going to happen, if it's going to get crazy again. It's all part of the experience, so maybe I had to work on some of my getting over fear and that kind of thing, and maybe that was the spirit's way of trying to reinforce that and to make sure that I can stand up to whatever I need to stand up to. And I think that always in a situation where you can turn a negative into a positive, and that's what happened here. I felt a lot of anxiety, and it got very woozy and dizzy. Like that night after our first podcast, man, I had never really felt like that. I got skin felt like it was on fire. Like I had a really bad sunburn. I was almost kind of like losing consciousness, like about to pass out type of feeling, with anxiety mixed in with it. So it was pretty terrible, but once I started standing up to the spirit and telling it that it can do that, it chilled out. And then also I had some awesome subscribers that did some things on their end, and I really appreciate that too, and I want to be able to thank them properly, because we're kind enough to look out for me when they really didn't need to. And Claudia, she was one of the main ones, and I appreciate it, Claudia. Thank you for looking out for me and helping me out like that. It was great, and I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. Oh shit, that's a fucking good ass question right there, dude. Fucking great. All right, have you ever tried to evoke someone like Tesla, like somebody that is insanely just a brainiac to begin with?
Oh, I have not evoked Tesla, no, but I've actually been studying Edgar Cayce quite a bit, as well as Leonardo da Vinci. And I've thought that if it would be possible to make contact with those spirits, then imagine what you could learn.
Fuck.
The tricky thing with attempting to evoke someone who's already dead or been deceased for a long time is whether or not they've reincarnated, or whether or not they've moved on to an entirely different, dimension, where they're out of our reach. It's hard to know what to expect when you go into something like that. Sometimes you get a response, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you get a response and it's not what you were attempting to contact to begin with. So it's really important to develop your communication skills with the spirits before attempting to just evoke random deceased people. But that's a really great idea. Tesla was one of the smartest men that ever lived, in my opinion, and that's that's something that would be worth giving a shot for sure. So tell them what you could learn.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's just, that's why it's like, after I read your essay, I was just thinking like, really seriously, the possibilities are fucking endless. I mean, really, I think that rabbit hole will go so deep that there's going to be so many things that it can be used for. It is just kind of like it's like the ultimate ritual. I mean, it's really kind of like, in my opinion, like the only ritual that you would ever need to do whatever the fuck you want. Like, this is it right here. This is the this is the hidden, the real hidden, gem out of all of it, is that fucking ritual right there. That is all you could ever need, man. Like, that's what I think everyone has been searching for, throughout their lives and their involvement in the occult, and going even back further, in history. I mean, that right there is the fucking key. In my opinion, that's the fucking key. That's the real hidden truth right there that everybody's seeking.
Wow. Well, thank you, man. And yeah, you're absolutely right. The possibilities with this are endless. I can sit here all day and contemplate different things that you could do with this technique. So yeah, I encourage people to get creative, and I encourage people to work together. That's another thing that I put in the essay, is that what I recommend for people who are interested in experiencing this, if you don't want to hire someone like myself to perform the rite for you, then I recommend that 2 or more competent magicians, evocators, agree to perform this rite for each other. And I recommend that once you come to that agreement, you do it as many times as you can handle, because you will become stronger with each repetition.
Fuck yes. And that's like, I could feel it from you the first time we met. I was like, wow, man. I could like really feel, your energy signature. And I think, I told you, I was like, dude, like, I really do believe that, you're the most, powerful sorcerer that I've ever met. And I could feel that immediately. And I'm so excited, to work together, in some capacity. It's, I definitely would love to do that. And, helping each other out like that to make each other, stronger and more powerful. I mean, like, it's such a great concept. And if, people want to fucking find out what's up with it, they got to go and they need to purchase that grimoire, Become a Living God's website. The Anthology of Sorcery, Volume 3, Book of Spells, it's in there. So it will outline in great detail, step by step, what you need, how you do it, all the precautions, whatever is, it's all there. It's all there. But you have to get that grimoire in order to access it. We can't just give that information away freely, because that's not what we're supposed to do, because it's in that manuscript there. But if you guys haven't gotten that yet, you need to get it. It's really fucking, like, that's probably, for me, in my library, like, that grimoire really, to me, is like, that's gold right there. That's my most important one for sure.
Yeah, it's a really great book, man. There's a little bit of everything in there. I really like the one you printed, the Primordial Abundance of Mighty Jupiter. I read that, man, and I was like, holy shit, I've got to get in touch with this guy. This is something I'm definitely going to perform for myself. And another one that was great, this was actually my personal favorite, was The Ugly Stick by Rain Sharp. Holy shit, man. I got like halfway through that, and I threw my hands up like, I am in love. Like, this woman, I mean that in the creepiest way possible. Yeah, not really, but no, that's that blew my mind, dude. Like, I would love to get in touch with this woman and learn more from her. I want to find out more, more about what she practices, because that is just that is a masterpiece of a ritual, and the results that she wrote about getting from that ritual were just mind blowing. So.
And that was the one like concerning like pedophiles and things like that she was going after. Is that right?
Yes, that was a curse called the ugly stick.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the most devastating curses I've ever heard of, man. Like, yeah, that's definitely going in my toolbox. I hope I never have to use that on someone, but I mean, holy shit, I wouldn't want to piss that woman off.
Fuck no, man. You don't want to get that ugly stick, I tell you, and then that's that's one thing that I always, take into consideration, like, becoming acquainted with, different sorcerers and witches and things like that, just even communicating with them via messenger or what have you. If they get upset with you in some kind of way, it's like once you've made that initial contact, like, well, now, you're fucked or something, like, so you better be good and not piss them off. And it's like, by the time you've already made that first communication, it's already too late.
Yep.
I definitely proceed with caution in that regard.
Absolutely.
Because it's, you never know. I mean, I don't underestimate anyone at all. I mean, it's everybody, and I think especially women, in my opinion. I do believe, just from what I have my own experience, that women are more powerful magically than men are. I really think that they can tap into that current and that source energy of their emotions and being able to pull that out better than most men, I would say. I mean, there's a lot of men that are more balanced in those regards, but I've just, I've just had so many reports of accidental cursing, and they're just, they don't really even have to go through a ritual to put something pretty nasty on someone. And I just really haven't heard a lot from men having that happen. It's all been women, so it's just like, fuck, man, they are powerful. Women are really powerful, man.
Yeah, well, magic in itself, the nature of magic is feminine, in my opinion. That's the divine feminine. That's the catalyst for these practices. And yeah, I've got the utmost respect for women. I agree with you. I think they're more in tune with magic naturally than men are. And yeah, it's very interesting to me, trying to figure out why that is exactly. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right.
And it might be because, they bring creation into this world, literally, when having children, so it kind of goes hand in hand. If they can bring creation into the world, then they can also bring creation of whatever type of manifestation that you're looking for. They can, they can more easily tap into that from that, if you look at it from that point of view.
Absolutely.
I was kind of thinking too, about, speaking of like manifesting, and looking at it from a point of view of, money, for example. Something that I want to try working on is visualization on, that specifically regarding the astral plane and putting together constructs, and actually, if you've already built a temple on the astral plane and you've furnished it and however you want to call it, you've decked it out, set it up, then why don't you start accumulating wealth? Why don't you start stacking that temple full of freaking, gold and silver and dollar bills and all of that, and just build those constructs on the astral plane and manifest it into this reality. That could be a fucking great way to gain wealth.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, thoughts become things, man. Mental energy directs physical energy, and you can actually evoke an object into existence. You know, you can cause that to materialize in your life physically by invoking it spiritually. It's pretty crazy, but yeah, that's a great exercise, you know, to especially like hone your skills at like structuring and manifestation in general. You know, you can incorporate evocation into that as well to
Yeah.
give it that extra power.
Yeah, I ran into a guy that I did an energy work session on, and he was in town, you know, I think just for like the week working on he did some kind of computer work. And it was just strange because the information that he had to offer me, it was kind of like, you know, I ran into this guy for a reason. You know, it was definitely a big synchronicity there. But he was talking about how he had, you know, bilocated. He was able to bilocate himself, you know, and be in Florida, but also at the same time. So he, you know, that whole bilocation thing, and you know, being omnipresent. And then also he was able to manifest a Coke can from wherever he was to a specific location in downtown Chicago somewhere, in like under a park bench or something. And the, you know, person that he was working with to confirm it, they found it, you know, and like it was
Really?
just really insane. And I mean, he wasn't even, from what I gathered and talking to him, he wasn't even someone that really practiced magic. It was really crazy how he was able to just have these abilities. I guess it was just kind of inherent within him that he could do that. But I need to get him back in touch with him, because he did, you know, email me afterwards and wanted to chat and things, and I just never got back up with him. But you know, I'm glad that sparks my memory into getting in touch with him and trying to kind of, you know, figure out exactly his methods for, you know, for the bilocating and for, you know, the manifesting actual object in a whole other area.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy, man. I've never experimented with anything like that, so I'd be curious to talk to this guy as well.
Yeah, yeah, he was a really interesting guy. You know, it was just the whole, I don't know, the whole coming together with him was just so, when I think about it, it was just so odd, you know, because he was kind of a strange dude, you know, and I mean, I don't know, I can't really put my finger on it. It was something about him that I don't want to say just didn't seem quite right, but like he was, I proved that he was more than human, if that makes any sense. Like, that he was definitely more than what I thought he was. Like, that he was sent there purposefully to give me that information, and my dumb ass didn't, you know, follow up with it like I should have. I mean, he was somebody that I really never had a feeling like that from before, and I just can't put my finger on what it was, but it definitely had a feeling of it that he was not who he appeared to be, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that's very possible. I know we don't like to think that it is. And when you start talking about, you know, things like that, you know, non-human entities being here physically walking among us, then you get into all the conspiracy stuff, and you're going to be called a loon. But nah, this is a very strange world that we live in, man. And there's a lot of crazy things going on that nobody can explain. And I think that in this giant insane asylum that we live in, all things are possible for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like that could even be used for like time travel and shit. You know, like that's your time machine right there, you know, invoking a spirit and sending it to another period in time.
Yeah. Well, if you know, if all time's present, I think we talked about this on the last one. You know, if they can move through time at will, then you could theoretically and this would be extremely dangerous to experiment with this, but theoretically it's possible to evoke a spirit and send it through time to make a change in the past to create an instantaneous change in the present. And I've actually theorized about this a lot on how you could do something like this. If it's, if it's a spirit that you have undergone possession with at any point, if they're, once you evoke a spirit, they will have been with you from the beginning. So once you've undergone possession with a spirit, then they would have always been, a part of you, or they would have always had access to you. Then why couldn't you evoke a spirit that you've undergone possession with and send them back to a specific point in time to possess you again at that point in time and force you to make a different decision than what you originally made? A great experiment for this would be to go buy a lottery ticket, pick some random numbers, go home, wait for the drawing and get the winning numbers, okay? Then evoke the spirit that has at one time possessed you and ask it to go back to the point where you bought the lottery ticket and just force you to play the winning numbers and see if all of a sudden you got a winning lotto ticket. I mean, that, be an interesting experiment. I'm not necessarily saying that would work, but it's, theoretically it's possible to do things like this.
Yeah.
And when you get into altering the past, then you don't know what kind of change that could create in your immediate future. I mean, that would change everything you did since that point.
I'd be scared to death to do it, I really would.
I wouldn't try it for more than a day's period of time. Like what I was just talking about, like send it back in time one day to make one specific change.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I wouldn't want it to go change something 10 years ago, because then there's no telling what your life would be like as a result of that change.
No shit, right?
Yeah. Dangerous shit. Yeah, this is the rabbit hole, bro. It's as deep as you want to follow it. It's the possibility.
It's so hard to wrap your head around it, It's really, I mean, just getting into all of this, what we're talking about now, subject matter that we're talking about now, from blood sacrifice. It's really just goes to show to me, like, that's where it's at, man. That is where it's at. That is definitely going to be something that I'm going to incorporate into so many different things, and I'm sure I'm going to be looked at as a freaking psycho or whatever, but I'm going to be getting results. So fuck them, Yeah,
it's about results. It's not about, who agrees with you or who thinks it's morally just or unjust. Fuck all that shit. Okay, you decide what's right and what's wrong for you. No one else can decide that. It's all a matter of opinion, and the only one that matters is your own. As far as sacrificing animals as well, like, that's something I've also incorporated into the healing rituals I've done. Okay, well, let's see. This is the wing of a dove that I sacrificed in a healing ritual that I did. It's been almost a month now since I did this ritual. I met this kid. He's 24 years old, and he was dying of a rare heart condition. Okay, the doctors had no idea what it was. They had performed every test imaginable on this kid, trying to figure it out. They cut open his femoral artery in his leg and ran a camera all the way to his heart, looking for blockages. Had him on all types of medications. Nothing was working. Anytime this kid would do anything physical, his heart would give out on him, and he would collapse on the ground. He couldn't even have sex. I mean, it was that bad. He couldn't run. He couldn't do anything physical without this happening. And so, I meet him at a bonfire next door one night, and he starts telling me about this. And so we did an evocation with Raphael, which is kind of my go-to spirit for healing. And I drew the sigil of Raphael over his heart, proceeded to do the evocation and asked the spirit to reach inside him. But I also incorporated a blood sacrifice during this. And what I did was I actually put the cutting block on top of the kid's stomach and spilled the blood of the dove on the sigil, asking the spirit to transfer that life force energy from that sacrifice into rejuvenating that organ. You know, so now we're getting into organ rejuvenation, where you can target those organs specifically through evocation and blood sacrifice to make them stronger and younger, to rejuvenate them. So if you were to do that with, you know, all of your organs on a regular basis, you know, could you stay young for an unnatural length of time? Quite possibly.
It's almost like you are sending them back into the past in a sense. You know, it's like you're,
I don't know.
like it's like it's making them younger, but they're still in this same part of their reality.
Yeah, that's one way to look at it. The point is, the ritual worked. It was a success. I mean, like immediately afterwards, the kid gets up and takes off running. He's running around like, oh my God, I can fucking, you know, I'm better. And yeah, it's been a month now, and he's still going strong, dude. Whatever was going on with him has been healed. So,
what do you think the cause of it was? Do you think
we never knew.
Something spiritually that, you know, was put on him, or something he just ran into, like a parasite, or what do you think?
You know, it was a total medical mystery, man. The doctors never could figure out what it was, and he's been back to the doctor since we did the ritual, and they put him through a stress test, got his pulse up really high, and you know, they said, you know, we couldn't explain what was wrong with you before, and we can't explain how you're better now. You know, total mystery.
That is fucking incredible, man. You know, I mean, just think about, I mean, it's going to change everything. It's going to change everything, man. I mean, fuck, dude.
Well, it will if people practice it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, absolutely. Like, I mean, it's going to change Western medicine, you know, I mean, and Eastern too. I mean, I know that they, you know, incorporate more spiritual means, you know, in a lot of their approach to the medical industry, but medical practices. But, you know, Western medicine, man, I mean, this could do all kinds of things. I mean, possibly even like cure addiction and things of that nature. I mean, that would be the shit right there if you could do that.
Yeah, there's a ritual for that too. The spirit that I call upon for healing people of addictions as well as curses is Ophal. That's a spirit from the evocation workbook that goes with the evocation video course through Become a Living God. I've got the sigil. Let's see. I'll hold it up to the camera here so everybody can see this. This guy is definitely who you want to call on if you feel like you're being attacked through non-physical means. It's the sigil of Ophal. And that's a drop of my blood there that I used to open the sigil when I drew it down. The description of the spirit is, you know, Ophal will deliver the magician from any type of magical curse or spiritual bondage, free the mind from fears, release the individual from addictions, and lift any enchantment, restoring spiritual health.
Wow, dude.
I've evoked this spirit multiple times, and each time he has delivered what is promised. He's definitely an ally and a close friend of mine, and he can help you with addictions as well as lifting curses. So, absolutely.
That is awesome, man. Nexus 313 made a good point here, you know, with the blood sector healing, talking about how old some of these world leaders get, you know, and that's true. Yeah, I mean, they, you know, a lot of them stick around a lot longer than what you would think, and
Yep.
you know, so I'm sure that the powers that be, those elitists and that kind of thing, you know, they are privy to this type of operation, and it's so awesome that you have been able to discover it and the true power within it and put it out there. You know, I mean, really, I mean, I really never considered the blood sacrifice really being more than just a symbolic gesture, you know, which is why I really had never really felt like doing it. It's just like, you know, I don't want to kill something just for the fuck of it, like a symbolic act, you know, but like I totally look at it from a different point of view now. I mean, it's really just changed my whole outlook on magic itself. You know, really. I mean, it's really
That's
that
awesome, man.
in my life, dude. I'm serious. Like I read that shit, I was like, holy fuck. You know, like really, man. Like I can't believe that everybody that has gotten this grimoire is not freaking the fuck out right now. You know, I mean, seriously. And if any of you out there don't have it, you need to get it. And I'm not being paid to say that or anything of that nature at all. I'm just telling you that is some really, really great information. That is a freaking just an awesome grimoire, and you really got to get your hands on it because it is the shit. It really is the shit. And I anticipate that book is going to be one of those where once they sell out, when you go on eBay to look for the fucker, is going to be $1,000 or more. You know, so you better get that shit while you can. I think it's, I don't know, 89 or 110, something like that. I can't remember, but you know, it's going to be well worth it. It's going to definitely pay for itself, you know, 100,000 times over.
Absolutely.
So with that, was in regard to that, I'm going to buy like 4 or 5 more of those motherfuckers. Well,
that'd be a good investment.
Yeah, it would be, man. It would be. And I usually do that anyways, you know. Whenever I get a grimoire, I usually try to at least get 2 copies, you know, for that purpose, but also, you know, to give to someone if I feel so inclined to do so. And I've done that before in the past too. Like, you know, you need this. I feel like I really need to give it to you. Here you go. And it's, you know, that's just one of those things, passing that knowledge along. It felt really good for me to do that. And, you know, whenever I'm able to do it, I usually get 2 copies. So I'm definitely going to get some more of those for sure. So you guys better get them because I'm going to be buying a bunch of them.
Oh, yeah.
But I really appreciate you coming on with me, man, again. And I really think that we really dropped a fucking nuke on everybody here tonight with this information that we had to offer them. And you know, I'm really looking forward to the feedback on it. I think that anybody that comes across this podcast is really going to have a huge aha moment. You know, if they really know what's up with magic and they are somebody that practices it actively, they will see and understand the significance of this podcast and the information that it was delivered. You know, so you're welcome in advance, you know, to everybody.
Yeah, I really enjoy getting on here and chatting with you, man. And yeah, I hope those out there watching do take something from this. And you know, even if not, man, I still had a blast. And look.
Oh, absolutely, man! I can't wait to do it again, and I can't wait to meet up with you in person, man, and you know, do some crazy ritual work and shit. I want to do that soon, for real.
Yeah, I do too, man. Yeah, we don't live that far, so yeah, after we get off, you know, then we'll make some plans, figure something out, and get this ball rolling because I think we're gonna do some great shit together.
Hell yeah, I do too, man. I mean, like, I cannot wait, man. Like, seriously. You know, I've really never really worked with anyone else than, you know, EA when I went to see him at the boot camp. You know, so I'm just so psyched about it. You know, there's just no words, you know, speechless, but I'm excited to do that. And so your website is going to be up soon, you say?
Yeah, you know, I'm about halfway done building it now. You know, I work full time. I have a family, so life gets in the way. I'm definitely taking my time with it. Want to make sure it's perfect. I've got a guy who's excellent at graphics design that's helping me out with it right now. So Yeah, I'm gonna have that up and running here soon, and I'm gonna offer this rite of deification for people, and I'm gonna have some other cool, unique things as well. You know, I don't wanna just put more of the same stuff out there. I want to bring new stuff to the table. And yeah, this is it's a really great time that we're living in, man. You know, they're not allowed to burn us at the stake or suppress us anymore. So it's not one magician that's going to change the world. It's all of us, man. We gotta come together and make some things happen. And I'm seeing that happen now as we speak, and I'm excited about it, man.
Yeah,
so excited.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. You know, and like what you mentioned with the burning of the stake and everything, you know, it's like hopefully this uprising won't cause any of that to happen again. It's very possible.
Well, but chances are they're going to try at one point or another. History repeats itself, and I do believe that at some point in the future, magic again will one day be outlawed. And yeah, that's something that I don't want to see happen, man. But whenever you have people that are doing great things and exercising their freedom and tapping into their individual power, you're always going to have forces of oppression that try to put a stop to that. And as they've proven throughout history, they are willing to murder all of us if they can in order to prevent that from happening. Because if everyone embraced their own godhood and ran with it, then oppression and tyranny, slavery would cease to exist, because you would have a society of people who were individually empowered and they could not be enslaved or oppressed. And I think that really scares the people in charge. And what you're talking about, these power elites performing rites like this, you're absolutely right, man. None of this is new. I think they're doing things just like this using human sacrifices. And, you know, you have to join their secret cult or their secret order to gain access to this knowledge. And that's fucking bullshit, man. I'm going to figure that stuff out without doing that. And put it out there as much as possible.
That is so fucking just kick ass, dude. Like, you know, I know that, or I feel like you know how significant this is, but I feel like that's only tapping into a small portion of the full potential, you know. So, and if that's the case, then, you know, it's just seriously, it's going to be like a fucking nuclear missile. I mean, it's really going to just be a never-ending progression of more potent workings that can be done with, you know, this type of ritual. So
absolutely.
And you said too, you're going to probably get your own YouTube channel going as well here soon.
Yeah, you know, I hadn't really thought about that until you and I started jumping on here and doing these podcasts. But yeah, that's probably something I'm going to end up doing here within the next week or so, is start my own channel. So yeah, I'll be looking forward to.
Good. People get in touch with you in the meantime if they want to, you know, before the website and everything rolls out. How can they get a hold of you?
Oh, just hit me up on Facebook, send me a private message or something like that. I'm not too cool to respond to anybody or talk to anybody. I'm a very approachable, humble guy, and I love collaborating with like-minded people. So absolutely, if anyone out there has any questions on how to perform this ritual, or, you know, anything else that we've talked about, feel free to contact me through private message.
And if you can't find him, you just hit me up. You know, most of you all know my email and, you know, website and all that shit. Or you can even leave a comment on YouTube that you want to get in touch with him, and you know, that way he could see that too as well and get in touch with you. But you know, I'm really excited, man, to be rolling out. And, you know, I know it's, you know, like I told you a couple of weeks ago, it's going to freaking just take off, man. No doubt in my mind. And, you know, I'm so glad and fortunate that I've been able to meet you, and that we live so close to each other. I mean, like it's just fucking awesome. You know, I'm excited, dude. I'm so fucking excited.
Oh yeah, me too, man. That's nothing is random, dude. So yeah, I'm definitely planning on capitalizing on this opportunity. I've never had another magician such as yourself to work with on a regular basis and do these experiments. So absolutely, man, I'm down for whatever. I think we're gonna do some awesome stuff.
Fuck yeah, dude. There is no doubt. There is no doubt, man. Well, I hope everybody has enjoyed this podcast as much as I have, and that just there should be 20 or 30 for sure. And I hope that that everyone will be able to really truly realize the significance of this information, this message that we delivered to you guys tonight. I mean, this is huge, man. This is really fucking big right here. And I appreciate everybody that came on the live chat and left your comments and things, and I really do appreciate that. Nexus 313, said it was a really, really great podcast. I appreciate that, man, very much. And that's why I like doing these live podcasts, because I like the interaction, and it really, it's just really a lot of fun for me. And I like to communicate with you guys, and, thanks for subscribing. And, you'll be seeing a lot of JS in the future, and his channel, website. And, this is only the beginning.
Absolutely, brother. Well, I had a great time. Thank you for having me back, and look forward to talking to you again soon.
And damn right. Well, I will go ahead and sign it on out then. Everybody take care. Be good. Practice your magic. Put it into practical use in your life. Don't just think about it. Do it. So we'll see you again very soon. And
all right, brother. Good night.
Good night.